So, 400 subscribers. As anyone would say, this is beyond my wildest comprehension. So, what have I got for this time? A Q&A for 100, a behind-the-scenes look at my most successful written work for 200, and an office tour for 300. Well, for 400 subscribers, I'm going to take you on another behind-the-scenes tour of how I made some of my most, not just successful videos, but, well, successful creations as of late, in an unscripted, rambling mess. Yay! Seriously though, guys, I'm hoping this works out, and I hope you all like what I have to share. And thanks for the 400 subscribers yet again. I guess I should start with how I made the Camila puppet. Okay, so Camila the puppet was actually a bit of an old idea I had. I actually wanted to make it as early as September. If anything, in time for early October, as a bit of a birthday gift. So why didn't it come out till later? Well, first of all, despite the fact that I liked Camila and VTubers, I was apprehensive. I was apprehensive because I liked VTubers, and I wasn't exactly open with how much I did like them yet. Furthermore, I knew on some level that a VTuber puppet hadn't really been done before, at least a physical felt puppet. And unlike the other puppets, which I had already been making for years, I was essentially going to have to design an anime girl as a puppet. And I know for a fact no one in history has ever tried that one before. Basic point, it was largely new and unproven, so I was basically my own pioneer in trying to design this thing. And like I said, I was apprehensive. I bought the materials, but I never made it for a while until Camila had this incident where this creature broke into her place. And for those of you who know, you know. Anyway, moving far away from that, that's what ultimately forced my hand into making it, because I'm like, oh, now it's suddenly an emotional support gift, whether she sees it or not. But I made the puppet unprepared, and I just didn't have any idea what I was doing or where I was going. I only had a few templates to tell me where I was going with this. I originally wanted to have this mechanism in the head where the twin tails would bounce, kind of like how her model does. But I just wasn't sure how I was supposed to do that, so it never got added in. The bat wings were a bit of a problem. It was just construction paper, black construction paper. Although getting them to stand up has been a challenge. I don't know how I do it. But I think the most complicated part about crafting this puppet was probably the dress. I seriously felt like I was designing the Colin Baker outfit from Doctor Who. It looks absolutely appealing when you see it, but it's hell to work on, even though I'm aware the audience has mixed reactions towards that one. Anyway, so I didn't have a clear indication of where I was going with the dress. In fact, for the striped side, I literally just took black strips of felt and glued them onto a sheet of purple felt and just cut it from there, and saw how big it would be. Designing the little pink diamonds was horrible. I had to use the tiniest pink felt ever, and because they were so small, they could easily unravel and fall apart. And as for the diamond side of the dress, well, I just pasted cyan diamonds, blue diamonds, and even pink diamonds at absolute random. I didn't care if they were accurate or not. I just didn't have time for that, and I think that was one of the last things I did with the puppet, really. So by that point, I just wanted to get it done. Now, as for the eyes, I know the eyes aren't exactly accurate, but I used that eye design with a lot of my other puppets for a reason. Mostly because, one, I think it actually got the appeal across, but two, it's also because of a little something called the Henson Triangle. Originally and founded by ever-famous puppeteer Jim Henson, it was a triangle that strategically placed the eyes and nose in specific locations on the puppet's head, as to not make it look uncanny. The pie-cut eyes with the highlights in them, however, was purely something I made up. What the Henson Triangle demands is that it essentially makes the eyes look focused when the puppet looks into the screen or is looking at you. What the pie-cut eyes seem to do is give it this point of contact in the vertex, almost as if it's the eye's center. Therefore, there's no mistaking where it's looking. And as for the highlights, well, that was purely added in for appeal and also an MLP inspiration. Though with Camila's eyes, I actually did something a bit different. If you look really close at those highlights in the eyes, you'll notice that I made them diamonds. White diamond highlights instead of the typical round circular ones. In the end, it took an entire day, but eventually the puppet was created. And as for how Camila started, well, that one's easy. I just posted it in the meme chat and she saw it on the day she did Meme React Monday. Well, sort of. I mean, I knew that was going to be one of the only ways I would be able to get her to see it. But there was a bit of a problem. I just don't know how to make a fresh meme, let alone a meme for VTubers, which could potentially die within a few days. So I just went with the whole, when your model fails, you need a backup, as if the VTubers are the modern-day incarnation of puppetry. And to be fair, they kinda are. Puppets, in a way, are the original VTubers. I think I even saw a commenter in, Fillian's chat at one point saying that VTubers are basically the modern incarnation of puppets. Even Jim Henson debatably created the first VTuber model, Waldo C. Graphic, and if you want to find out what he's all about, just look at Defunctland TV. He made a great 6-part series on how the story of Jim Henson played out. It gets really into the heart of the matter. So eventually Camila saw it, and the reaction was actually a lot better than I could have ever expected it to be. I could never have anticipated that she would request I'd make something. As soon as she asked that, I think I was panicking that night. Yeah, guys, I'm just gonna say it right now. I was a mess that night. A breathing, hyperventilating mess. Because Camila saw what I made. And as for making the Severus Snape video, okay, I know I'm uncultured, but prior to that live stream, I actually had never even heard of that meme. I'm serious. I had no idea what the meme was, and I didn't even know what she was talking about. And then I found it, and I'm like, oh, it's Harry Potter, so no wonder I didn't hear about it, because, well, I never watched Harry Potter as a kid. Again, I know I'm uncultured. And it also came out in 2011. That happened before I even started my online career, so again, it's no wonder. And as for actually making that video, okay, guys, I'm not gonna deny, I'm actually not that proud of that video. It was just that same meme on loop, and I'm sure you guys could probably tell that video was a bit rushed. But it's mostly because I knew I only had a week to make it, so I didn't really have time to mess around. Originally, I wanted the video to be filmed in front of a green screen, and I wanted every character to be the Camila puppet, but on a separate green screen layer. And this would have came to fruition if it wasn't for the fact that I had 3 big problems. Number 1, the green screen software I use is just absolutely miserable. Number 2, the green screen just wasn't big enough to encompass 5 layers. And 3, I couldn't do this with a single puppet on just a few layers. It would be too much recording and it would be too confusing, especially when I try to edit the audio in and some layers just didn't sync up. Because yeah, when I was recording it, I did have the audio playing in the background for each layer. So in the end, I just went with the easiest solution, even if I knew it wasn't exactly going to be the best, even in post-production. Still decided to get as close as I could, though. Finally, though, Camila saw it on Meme React Monday. And my goodness was I nervous that day. I thought she wasn't going to like it. Well, once again, the reaction turned out to be a whole lot better than I ever expected it to be. Looping wasn't even a big deal for her. She just skipped towards the end. Which, to be honest, yeah, I prefer. The fact that she also did her part as Dumbledore just made the audio better, TBH. And her own little reenactment at the end, just sparking a laugh. That was just precious. And not only was she satisfied and happy to see it, but a lot of her audience was too. Both in the live stream chat and even nowadays, people are still viewing it. So, in the end, the Camila Snape video basically became my most successful modern work that I wasn't exactly all that proud of myself. And I thank you guys greatly for that. In fact, the reaction was so good that it was still enough to convince me that another VTuber puppet was necessary. And what better puppet to make than Fillion? It took yet another day to create the Fillion puppet, and thankfully this one was much easier. And as soon as I made it, I knew the very first thing I wanted to recreate was that clip. Camila tasing Fillion by complete surprise. So literally the next day, I filmed that video, and it wasn't actually as hard as you'd think. I mean, I did have some lip-syncing problems, but that's probably because I didn't play the audio in the live recording this time. Except for the very beginning. Also, the reason why the first clip is so pixelated is because I zoomed in. It was filmed in a completely different room. And as for the moment when Fillion got tased, well, first of all, that's actually my actual house's bathroom door. Like, the door behind Fillion in the shot, that's actually legit. And, well, I don't think I need to explain what else I did with the Fillion puppet, because Fillion herself actually did a good job for me.
He taped these eyes over my eyes. Like, what the frick, Chad?
I mean, it's true. That's literally what I did. Like, I'm exposed, guys. I got caught in 4K HD. But in all seriousness, yes, that is in fact what I did. I got, like, a piece of cardstock from, like, an office folder. Like, you know those things. And then I just drew eyes on it to make them look closed. And if you notice the eyelids, that's basically the exact same deal. I just took another thing of cardstock office folder and just cut them up to make them look like eyelids and angled them in the right way. And they didn't seem to damage the eyes one bit. Speaking of reactions, well, oh boy. This is by far my most successful clip I've recreated. Camila apparently was so eager to watch the clip, and as soon as Fillion got tased, she frickin' lost it. Like, it was incredible. Like, I didn't think I could get her to laugh that hard, let alone have the clip be that good. Like, it's barely even a minute long. And so she sends it to Fillion. Numi was also in the chat, meaning she also saw this. But yeah, I could tell Camila liked that one, and thank you, Camila, again. And there's also one more thing about that video I should mention. The shot collar. The shot collar in that video was actually played by one of my Nintendo Switch Joy-Con holders. Like, if you look at the video again, you can see it. Like, it's one of those things that's meant for a Nintendo Switch Joy-Con that slides into the side for like a safety strap. And I literally just did that because really I didn't know what else to make as a shock collar. And yeah, having the shock collar be thrown right at Camila again, that was literally just added in for comedic effect. And then, I believe, a few days after that, I'm just watching this growth happen, and then I forget what I was doing, but I think I took a shower. I get out and I check my computer, and suddenly it's boosted from 392 subscribers to 397 out of nowhere. The clip suddenly boosted from barely 100 views, I think, to over 300. So I'm just looking at my computer, I'm like, what the hell is happening here? So I just look in the comments section. It's filled with like 8 different comments. And one of them even said, hey, I saw this on Fillian's stream. It's a great video. I'm like, Fillian viewed this on her stream? I mean, I obviously didn't see her show it, but I saw the reaction from Fillian like way later. And it is just one of the best reactions ever. Her freaking face when she got tased. Her jaw just drops, and it gets me every time. And yeah, she proceeds to point out what I did to make the puppet close its eyes. But I mean, yeah, it's true. It's funny because it's true. Like, she even said that Camila DM'd it to her with a Lamau message followed by 16 O's or something. So that was my proof right there that Camila sent it to Fillian. So again, thank you, Camila, and thank you, Fillian, for seeing it. Yeah, and then Fillian's chat was heaping praise upon the thing. Fillian even linked the video in her chat, and I'm like, what is going on here? And the fact that it took me by complete surprise, I'm like, I feel like a damn crack dealer. And as for Fillian's ooh-woo rap, well, I'll say this. It was only after Camila's stream did I notice Fillian was off sync. The fact that Camila even said that the puppet makes it better, it's like, again, I cannot heap enough thanks on Camila enough. I mean, looking at it, it really does. Like, it's true. Like, you take this thing and you make it into something even better. That's basically what it is. And as for what else is coming, well, all I'm gonna say is that it's coming soon. Anything I make, it's only if they like it. So once again, thanks to Camila and thanks to Fillian for everything, and I'll keep making more. Oh, and one more thing. I promise I will be recreating the Snape, Severus Snape video at some point, but only when I make 5 VTuber puppets. And only when I get a bigger green screen and better green screen software. So if you guys have any recommendations for that, just link below. I'm still debating on which puppet I should make next, whether it be Megalodon, Chibidoki, or Cottontail VA. All of which would really be a challenge, if I'm going to be truly honest. And that's pretty much everything I have to say about the VTuber puppets. For now. Alright, with the VTuber puppets out of the way, it's time that I talk about some of the other videos I made in the meantime that actually helped me get to the 400 subscriber mark. Which there are surprisingly very few of. Like, it's amazing to me. You guys really are something special for subscribing to such an inactive channel. And still supporting me, knowing that something will be coming. I guess I'll just work my way backwards and start with some of my most recent successes and then go to the more older successes. Starting with the Great Gatsby musical videos. Okay guys, so yeah, these are basically music videos for the Great Gatsby musical, while using clips from the actual movies. In particular, the 1974 Great Gatsby movie and the 2013 Great Gatsby movie. You want to know the most fascinating part about those videos? I actually never watched a single Great Gatsby movie. Ever. Even when I was editing them, I never watched the full movie. So you're probably wondering, well, how could I have known what clips to pick? I honestly don't know myself, guys. I just picked whatever worked best, and I just went with that. Furthermore, I didn't even think these videos were going to be a hit. Like, I was just going to do Roaring On, and that was it. But then I just bit the bullet and did Absolute Rose and New Money. And when I posted those two videos at first, they did really badly. Even nowadays, Roaring On is kind of lagging behind. But then, out of nowhere, like, I don't even know what it was, but the New Money just started blowing up. Like, just out of nowhere, it started getting this random view boost. And it's kind of wild still to me, because I think it may just be my most successful video that I had pretty much no faith in. Like, I thought it was going to be doomed, and I thought I was going to have to cancel the project. But no, it kept going. And it just kept going up until it has like, I think it has like 1,500 views at this point. And the other parts are just climbing along with it. Also, update, the reason why I haven't done For Her yet is because I felt like if I was ever going to do this again, I'd need to watch the actual movies to see what fits best. And I only really know the story of The Great Gatsby through the musical. So just give me time, guys. It's really going to take a while, and I do need to watch these movies in advance because I don't want to be blind again in terms of choosing clips. Regardless, the success turned out far better than I could have ever anticipated, and it's one of my most unexpectedly successful series of music videos. So I'm very proud of that, and thank you guys for it. And speaking of music videos, my Picture to Burn PMV, which is to date, I think my most recent pony video. I mean, its viewership isn't that big, but I mean, it still has like 153 people who viewed it. All I can say about this one is that the real reason I made this is because, well, my sister is a hardcore Swiftie. She showed that song to me one time, and it was an absolute bop. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, oh hey, Misty would work pretty well in this. Also, to explain some context, the reason why I used that clip of Opaline stealing Misty's cutie mark, it has more to do with the fact that she's throwing away Opaline's promise of giving her a cutie mark rather than the mark itself. So that's what I meant by that when I put it there. It may also be because, well, Taylor Swift came to my home city at one point, so my sister was excited for that. It truly is a time to be a Swiftie, so I figured that would be decent. And then, of course, before that, there was my 10-year anniversary trilogy. So, yeah, guys, I technically started my online career on May 26, 2014. And back then, I was just a simple DeviantArt artist. I mean, I know the trilogy didn't get that many views either, but to be honest, it was more for me than it was anyone else. And as for how the production of that went, well, despite the fact that it literally is just me reacting to my old content, whether it be art or videos or whatever that I made over 10 years, the actual filming process was pretty stressful. I actually filmed the whole thing the night before the anniversary day, on May 25th, 2024, and I think it took almost 3 hours to create it. And splitting it up into a trilogy was purely something I did for time constraints. Because I knew that nobody was just going to sit around for over an hour watching me ramble about my old stuff. But still, no matter how cringy I find my old content, if it wasn't for my old videos and art, I never wouldn't have gotten this far. I never would have guessed that over 10 years later I'd actually be in this position, even if I'm not exactly as big as I hoped to be. I mean, having over 400 subscribers 11 years later is still pretty big. It's a huge achievement. If anything, I'm more of a humbling kind of content creator, I guess. And speaking of, I think I'm standing at like 417 subscribers as I'm recording this video. But back when I hit my 10-year anniversary, I think I was really close to hitting 300 subscribers. And then HarmonyCon had just happened before that, so I was basically doing everything at once. Meaning that the 10-year anniversary trilogy was very unprepared. I'm still glad that people watched it anyway, and I'm glad that there were people who stuck around for as long as they did to celebrate 10 years of my content. And I want to say, the fact that I have actually entertained people and did something fantastic for them for an entire decade, enough for them to stick around, that's amazing to me. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And who knows, maybe there'll come a time in the future when I won't think my old content is as cringy as I think it is now. I mean, I did release a lot of my old art recently, but when the day finally came, it just blew my mind. Like, it truly did feel like the day where I, quote, made it. Like, I achieved something that most wouldn't. And to be fair, I did. And I want to say, I will do everything in my power to protect these 10 years worth of content, no matter what the platform says. I am not going to let an entire decade of work go to waste. Never. Each piece of content is just a little memory. And like I said, it did bring me over 300 subscribers, but now I'm in the era of 400 subscribers, and the channel grew so big in that time. Like, it is amazing to me. Oh, and I almost forgot, my Wild Robot AMV. Just immediately, I want to say that I'm pretty much with everyone else and say that the Wild Robot is one of the best DreamWorks films ever made. And I knew it was cliche to make an AMV of its best song, but I did. I just couldn't help myself. And finally, to finish it, I'll be talking about 2 videos. Well, 2 video series. My top 10 most relatable MLP episodes list, and my HarmonyCon Stories trilogy. I'll be honest, those 2 video series are probably some of my favorite series I've ever done on the channel. The HarmonyCon Stories Retold videos are probably my favorite trilogy I ever made. And I still like how I wrote the top 10 most relatable MLP episodes. And I guess it wouldn't surprise anyone to know that the reason I made the top 10 most relatable MLP episodes was because I wanted to briefly return to G4 real quick because I struggled to find anybody else who liked G5 as much as I do, from anywhere else in the fandom. And to be honest, that's a whole other story that I can't get into here. But basically, the top 10 most relatable MLP episodes came from a place of, wanting to show that both G4 and G5 had their strengths. In very similar fields, might I add. And I still stand by the 10 choices I made. I still think they're very relatable, if anything comforting to anyone who could watch them. As long as they're fair and open about it. Of course, I also posted them, the day before I went to HarmonyCon. Mostly because I wanted them to grow naturally while I was gone. And, well, ironically enough, that's how those videos became synonymous with my trip to that convention. So, I went to HarmonyCon 2024 in a very emotionally vulnerable state because of some really bad words and choices I made at one point. And I was also left alone for quite a long time. Needless to say, I wasn't in the best place mentally. And so I obviously wasn't in the best mood to record either. I just wanted to sit back and see whatever was coming. The whole thing ended up being such an emotional roller coaster to actually have friends there and actually tour about the convention space with them in such an amazing hotel. And once again, a very special thanks to Diane and Bobby Seas, as well as a special thanks to Pony for Hire. One of the panels that my own mom recommended I go to was Making Friends in the Fandom. I actually spoke to the panel host, Pony for Hire, and, well, you can honestly find more about that story in those videos, but still, it was one of the best things I could have done because I basically became a star in my own right at that panel because I made such an impact. I vented my frustrations, my regrets. Everyone was amazing and listened to me so well. Pony for Hire even asked who I was and found my channel. One of my idols, Jesse, Barb, and Nicole, were both there, and I actually introduced myself to them. Then on Saturday, things were just going crazy. I checked my phone to look at how well my list was doing, and it suddenly started getting like over 1,000 views, at least for part 1. Subscribers were flooding into my channel. And I knew what it meant. It meant that people were subscribing to me live at the convention and even seeing my video. And as soon as that dawned on me in like the main convention hall, I'm just like, oh my God. Like, it is such an odd complex to have so many people viewing the video the day I made that impact with Pony for Hire. Several new people flooding in. It's almost as if I was literally walking among the very people who subscribed to me. It was crazy. And it just kept growing by Sunday. Sunday specifically is where it reached its peak. I don't know what happened or how it happened. I knew it happened because of the panel, but I don't know anything else. But all I can say is that I'm absolutely thankful for it. You guys are seriously the best. Those are one of the things that can improve someone's mental health so well. So thank you guys very much to whoever subscribed to me at the con. And of course, speaking of Sunday, that's where the emotional climax of the con happened. Going to see one of my biggest idols in the Brony fandom, asking her and another friend about how my best friend interacted with them and if she treated them well. Once again, I explain this in more detail in the HarmonyCon Stories Retold videos. But basically, it's when my best friends struggled to make friends with an idol of mine because they were in another group that their friend was asking them into. Like, it's a really complicated string of dominoes. And the fact that I actually asked this of Lightning Bliss, like almost 4 or 3 years after it happened, it felt like I was in a soap opera. And as for my best friend online, well, I really don't want to talk about that here, but just say that it's basically like Shadow the Hedgehog and Maria's friendship that ultimately ended in tragedy. That's how sad it was for me. I also can't help but relate to his story a lot more now, thanks Sonic 3. My everlasting eternal thanks still goes to Lightning Bliss and Duskflare. Lightning Bliss even told me to keep a promise, to keep her memory alive, and you bet I'm going to. Though I'm sure that leads to the obvious question. Will me and Lightning Bliss ever cross paths again, along with Duskflare? I don't know, guys. Maybe they will. I think the ties are just getting stronger and stronger with time. And honestly, I'd love to see them again, and I'm sure they're curious at least. Dusk even left a comment on my 3rd video of the HarmonyCon stories. I know it's an emotional end for this 400 subscriber special, but I think it's appropriate. I just don't know how else to express my gratitude for you guys helping me through all of this. To show me that the period of isolation I went through wasn't truly alone, even if it was after early 2024. I mean, it's just been a crazy time throughout this rapid growth, with the emotional highs being really high and the emotional lows being really low, and everything in the middle just being an unintended learning experience that I needed to learn, whether for better or worse. I'm still hoping that 2025 turns out to be more better than I could have ever anticipated, and on some level I think it will. But even so, you still gotta prove it to me first, 2025. And I'm sure I'll enjoy whatever you have to throw my way, even if it may not always be enjoyable. I'm Chwiley X360, and that's it for the 400 subscriber special, and I hope you guys actually enjoyed watching this. And whenever I hit 500 subscribers, I'm going to be doing a special again. So thank you everyone again, and here's a final little gift for everyone who loved the puppet videos.